Good morning. Thank you for joining us for another edition of the Moody mini-series. I am Virginia Anderson, Associate Director of Alumni, Donor, and Parent Initiatives at the Moody College of Communication. In this time of social distancing, Moody College believes now more than ever it is important to bring relevant topics via virtual platforms to our alumni, friends, donors, and supporters. You are the reason we have launched the Moody mini-series. We hope that you find the topics over the next few weeks both educational and meaningful. As you are watching the video today, if you have any questions, there is a chat box to the right of the YouTube video where you can enter questions. I would like to welcome Dr. John Daly, Liddell Professor of Communication and TCB Professor of Management, as he talks with us today about working virtually, making it work well.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to UT. I'm glad to see all of you here. I hope you're having a good time, as good a time as you can. We're going to spend just a short period of time today talking about how do people work effectively at a distance. We're doing it. Like it or not, I'm doing it right now. Everyone's doing it. It is one future. It's a future we're going to have to deal with well in the future. It's going to raise questions too. It's something that we're going to assume where we didn't assume it before. When we look at what happened just in the last couple of weeks, it's astonishing. In March 13th, 31% of people worked remotely. That was after the virus started being talked about. By the beginning of April, 62% of people working at home. Indeed, the number is probably even higher now. And even as we open up the society because of not being as concerned as we were before about the virus's propagation, more and more people will want to still work at home. Indeed, a very recent study came out this month as people, after restriction of business school closure lifted, if your employer left it up to you, would you work remotely as much as possible? Close to 60% said they would still want to work at home or remotely. 40-some% like to go back to the office. My bet is a lot of people are in the middle. They like working at home for some reasons, but they miss certain things in the office. We're going to talk briefly about what you can do to be more effective working at dispersed environments. But let's make sure we define what we're talking about first. When people started studying this issue years ago, they used physical distance as the metric. So I live in Austin, you live in Dallas. We have a distance relationship of basically about 180, 190 miles. I work in Austin, you work in Austin. You work in South Austin, I work in North Austin. Our distance is perhaps maybe 5-8 miles. Who has this bigger distance relationship? And the answer was distance didn't matter. What mattered, we found, was accessibility. I may be easily accessible to the person in Dallas and not so accessible to the person in South Austin. That gives us a really critical insight when we work with people. It is not sheer physical distance, it's the perception that I can get to you when I need you. I can talk to you, communicate with you whenever I need to. That's the notion of accessibility. So if you've managed employees before, you understand how critical accessibility is. The moment you become a manager, your phone is ringing you daytime, night times, even on weekends. If you're willing to pick up your phone at your kid's soccer game and talk to a customer, an employee, you know what? You're seen as accessible. Manipulating accessibility perceptions is one key thing we discovered that matters in distance. Now, we're going to talk about 4 or 5 things you need to think about as you actually master distance management and distance working. All right? 4 or 5 things that seem particularly important. One is this: are you part of something that matters? Are you part of something that matters? You know, you go to work, you see the Texas state flag, you see the high-rise building, you walk in the lobby, there are pictures of customers, the goals your company has. There's a lot of things that communicate how much you and your organization matters. At home, you sometimes forget how much what you do matters. You've got to signal yourself, what I'm doing still matters. I tell people, dress up in that logoed shirt if you want to help you remember. Check the screen every so often to see what your organization is doing. Remind yourself why you're doing it. What's your purpose? Customers. Remember your customers, whether they be students, whether they be citizens, whether they be paying customers, nonprofit, people you're serving. Stay connected. And you also want to have a sense of community. You know, face-to-face working creates a kind of sense of almost family in some ways. It's not family like a home family, but it's something like that. You lose that at a distance. You lose that sense of community. And we're going to talk about more how to establish that. Finally, treat this as an adventure. We've discovered when people treat something as a learning opportunity, I'm going to learn something new, they do better psychologically. They actually enjoy the process more as well. So some of you never knew how to use WebEx or Zooming before. Pride yourself what you've learned already. You are like a Zoom expert now. You can become a Zoom trainer perhaps. You've learned to manage your time more effectively. You've learned how to manage your life more effectively in this process also. So learning how to do those such things does matter. What a second thing you got to think about. All right, communicate. I teach communication, so I think communication matters. What we know is social interaction matters just as much as task interactions. Certainly talking about work matters, but talking about ourselves and life matters just as much. You know what you miss at the office? I don't think it's the water fountain. I'm not sure it's the restrooms. It's probably not the food in most cases. What we miss is the small talk, the everyday chit chat that we do. Run into somebody by the water fountain. We run by somebody in the bathroom. We see somebody in the cafeteria. We ask what's going on. All that small talk is what defines the community in many ways. So you got to get better at working on small talk at a distance. Let people know who you are. Give them updates about your life. If you just bought a new TV, let them know it. If your kid actually got a great grade on the third grade spelling quiz, give them a compliment and celebrate with it. Ask other people questions too. Have some fun. You know, enjoy the characters. I don't know if you've dealt with Zoom enough to have this experience yet, but some people have figured out crazy backgrounds. Some people can dress themselves differently in Zoom events. It's kind of fun to have these kind of nutty people do these things. Play some games. Have a scavenger hunt on Zoom. All right, put up some fun YouTubes to entertain people. Bring your dog in. I know it's hackney now. Bring your dog in. Bring your cat in. Do something. If you don't have dogs and cats, get a stuffed one. Do some things that make people enjoy themselves with you. Ask more questions. Think about your teammates. Stay connected with those. Do me a favor. Every couple of days, get in touch with somebody who you may not be talking to every day, but is part of your life. Check in with them, update them about your life, ask them what's going on in their lives. It's nice to stay connected with people. But you also have to do work-related communication. What are some key things we discovered? Give people regular updates of what's going on at work, if you're a manager especially. Quiet time matters immensely. Please give people a time to work where they're not interrupted by emails or conference calls. One organization I spent a couple hours talking with just 2 days ago have decided to block off 2 hours each day for no Zoom, no WebEx, no Teams, just time for people to catch up on their email and their work. Include people as well. If you're having a Zoom conversation, for example, notice who's doing all the talking and who's not talking very much. I always recommend making up a seating chart metaphorically. Write every participant's name down on a piece of paper. When they talk, put a tick mark next to that name. You'll notice a few people are monopolizing the conversation and some people are just listening in. Invite those listeners if they want to talk. What's your opinion? What are you thinking about this? Now, don't put people on a spot. They may not actually be there if you simply see their name up there. But if their face is there and they're engaged, ask their opinion at some point. See somebody raising their hand to talk on a Zoom or WebEx conversation, guess what? Recognize them, even if you're not the team leader. Say, it looks like Michelle wants to say something. Include people. Also, when you communicate, you want to think of some other things too. All right? For example, getting your work done. We've actually spent a lot of time studying how do people get the work done at a distance. Learn to balance your life. Know when to turn work off. The research is clear. When you work at home, it's harder to turn things off. You see, if you leave your office at 5:30, sit in traffic for 45 minutes on I-35, you get home, you know work's done. You know it's time for soccer, it's time to make dinner, it's time to veg on in front of the TV. But if you're working at home, where's that drive home? You've got to be willing to turn things off. The challenge is when you're at home working, yes, you get up in the morning, do your email, talk to people, work all day. 5 o'clock comes, okay, you take a break, but you go back at 6 and look at your email. Maybe I should respond to this one. Maybe I should respond to this one. Trust me, you're not that important. You can respond to 99% of emails tomorrow morning. Just shut them off at a certain point. Give yourself a life. Practical skills. Define success every day. I'm getting up today. What's going to define a successful day for me? Have a goal or two you want to accomplish. I love checklists. Checklists help you remember to do things, but checklists make things more controllable also. You make a list of things you need today, even though you think it's overwhelming, you'll find you get more done with the checklist out. Reliability is enhanced by checklists, and reliability actually builds trust in relationships. Learn to binge your work also. You cannot work 8 hours straight. Give yourself an hour and a half to work, then take a break for 20, 30 minutes. Then binge your tasks again. Routines. Everyone likes routines. Routines give us predictability. Routines give us a sense we know what we're doing. Getting up every day at the same time is routine. Having lunch at noon or 1 is routine, all right? Watching that favorite show while you're on the treadmill in the evening is routine. Never misunderstand the deep value of routines, or if you will, rituals. So you want to go to work regularly. You want to get up in the morning, go to work at 8, 8:30 automatically. You get dressed for work like you do any other job. The reality is those routines make things easier. Take breaks in a predictable point in time. Know when and where you work best also. Some of you work best sitting outside in good weather. Some of you work best at home in front of the TV. It's okay, just mute it. Some of you work best in a closet. Know where you want to work. Also when you want to work. Some of you are more morning people, more afternoon people. Plan for the most important things to happen in the time zone that works best for you. Be peaceful. Have some serenity. Breaks matter. Exercise matter, moves more. One discovery we've made is people are sitting more than they ever sat before at home. Get up and take a walk every so often. Walk that dog, walk the neighborhood. Take the steps if you're not willing to go outside. Take the stairs 3 or 4 times. Do some simple exercises. Stop sitting as much as you are. And be careful what you're eating. A grad student called it the COVID-15. When she was a freshman in college, she gained 15 pounds freshman year, eating at the dorm every night. Says, now I've done the same thing at home. I'm junking on too much stuff. Wonder Bread is still not good for you. Mindfulness is a really important concept. Do me a favor, look up on the web what the word mindfulness means. It's getting in touch with yourself, getting enmeshed so much in yourself, you actually relax. Have a view. If you can work, try to get a window you can look outside. Avoid the bedroom. The bedroom is where you sleep. You don't want to confuse your brain. Don't work on your bed. Sit up and work in a chair, at a desk, or a table if you can. You see, if you work in the bedroom, what does your mind think when it's bedtime? Maybe it's work time instead. Minimize those distractions that would annoy you in some way, matter, or form. Put up a do not disturb sign if you have a family. Come up with what we call tension markers. What's this mean? You and your partner are both working at home. Your partner has a habit of playing a loud music sometimes. You're on a conference call, you're on a Zoom conversation, WebEx conversation. You don't want to say, turn the damn thing down. Simply come up with a word you can use to communicate that you want him to be quiet. You might say, it's really exciting right now what's going on in my job. He knows the word exciting is that cue you're giving for him to do something different. Leave the room, turn things down. Children, they are what they are. Embrace the anarchy. Embrace it. Don't fight it. Embrace it. When you trip over things, when your kids cry, when your kids get emotional, when your kids want ice cream in the middle of a Zoom call, don't get annoyed. Embrace it. It's called a life, and enjoy that life. Kids are going to be kids. You can't change them. Schools have never adjusted to parents, by the way. Let's embrace that, all right? I don't know if you've had kids, you know what I'm talking about. Schools still assume one person's available from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon to go to every school event. So don't expect something different from your schools now. And I have deep respect for what schools are doing, but they're not going to change how they're going to do things for us. Your partner's not your coworker. You don't necessarily want to bring your work home to your partner, nor do you want to assume your partner cares that much about your work. Finally, when it comes to partner and children, you should forgive yourself. You know, we always talk about work-life balance. There's no balance. There is no balance. The challenge is to create work-life effectiveness. That's a big deal. Don't beat yourself up about not being effective. I'm not balanced. Beat yourself if you're not effective. What's that mean? Go back to life before all this happened. You didn't have balance then either. You had effectiveness. So yes, you'd go to work, but maybe you had to take your child to the doctor at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe you had to take the car to the repair shop at 4:30. You were effective. It wasn't a perfect 8 hours of work, 8 hours not work. You juggle things effectively. So stop seeking balance and start seeking effectiveness. Managerial challenges. There are a lot of managerial challenges people run into. One is onboarding. Onboarding is new employees. Now, you've worked at a job for 4 years. You know how the organization works. When a new employee comes in, you've got to onboard them to the organization from a distance. What do you want to do it? Do it slowly. Create frames for people to understand. So this organization, we do 3 things, A, B, and C. Draw a picture for that. Then create a matrix. We have these labels for people's hierarchy in these units. Give people a schematic representation of how our organization works. Be honest about the informal rules organizations face. Every organization has some informal rules. Let them know what those rules are. Introduce them to people like you introduce anyone else. Learn enough about them so you can find something to connect them to the organization. There are also relational issues you face when you're managing. Conflict gets amplified from a distance. People are not as nice on email as they would be face to face. If there is conflict, deal with it right away. Certainly trust matters a great deal in your organization, but respect matters just as much. Disrespect eats away like a cancer does on a team. So you got to manage that respect variable. When you have people work on projects together, make sure they can work together. Don't randomly put people together. There are mental health issues you've got to deal with also. There is evidence to suggest that when people work at home, they get a little more depressed. Okay, it's lonely. I bet you know what WeWork is. WeWork is basically a company that created office suites for people to work in. So I have a job as a consultant. Guess what? I don't want to work at home. I go to a WeWork office. I basically lease a desk or a cubicle or a room to work in. The reason why WeWork work is because people want that connection. So you got to accept this could be a little bit lonely, and you got to help assuage that loneliness by the things we talked about. People say, what about returning to the office? What about returning to the office? That's an interesting question. We don't know when it's going to happen. None of us do. Avoid false promises. UT is not going to decide to the end of June, they say, about whether the school will be face-to-face or virtual in the fall. I would not want the University of Texas president to promise we're going to start school in August like we always have and then shatter my hopes. I wouldn't want to promise we're going to do virtual stuff right now, because what I do is start doing all my virtual stuff for next semester. You can't promise things. Be honest, but don't promise. Say, I don't know. Also appreciate the fear of reentry. Now, some of you just biting to get back to the office. You're biting to be back in that cafeteria. You're biting to, go to the library. You're biting to do all those things. Just cannot wait to do those things. Others of you are really, really scared. It is okay to be scared. It's okay to be excited. As a manager, you got to embrace both. You got to accept both. Please don't compare people. Don't say in a meeting, if we go back to work 6 weeks from now, well, I know Joe's calling in because he's really scared still. Don't do that. Just accept Joe's calling in. Don't encourage Mary to come to work because 3 other people at work. She has her reasons not to be at work. You're going to have to embrace the fact that different people at different levels of comfort with the future. I skipped over a couple of slides because I wanted to make sure we got these done. I do want to spend some time talking about technology, because technology is what dispersed is. When you think about this, even 10 years ago, we couldn't be doing what we do today. I try to imagine what it'd be like to do this 10 years ago. I don't know what we have done. It's kind of like looking at 1950s movies and imagining what would happen if I ever had cell phones. The movie would make no sense. We use technology well. Couple ground rules. Match the technology to the task. Some tasks need emails. Some can use phone calls. Some can use text. Some don't even need to be communicated. Not everything has to be Zoomed. Not everything has to be WebEx. Sometimes a simple text can do it. Pick up the phone sometimes you want intimacy with the person. Remember, touch is gone. Touch is gone. What we know about face-to-face is talking to the person, is bumping into them, literally in the hallways sometimes. It's all the emotional sorts of touching. The challenge with technology, it takes away the touch. Somebody someday will develop a way to create that emotional connection we have face-to-face on the web. It's not here yet. And then you got to use them appropriately. So I could tell you 50 things people do wrong in each technology. I just picked a few things out for each. Email, for example. Make sure you have incredibly clear subject lines. Email is not chat, so don't try to have a conversation email. That's texting or Slack. People prefer shorter paragraphs and more of them rather than one long paragraph. If I open an email and it's filling my entire screen, I go, oh, I just can't imagine reading this. If you give me 5 paragraphs of 2 sentences apart, I can read it more easily. Also, a lot of people are going to email on their phone, and a really long email is just daunting. Be careful, CC. Clean up your email before you send. Does everyone need to be copied in this? I don't think so in most cases. So you can think to yourself, how am I using email more effectively? Another thing about email, bullet points are fine in emails. Put things in bullet points. Some people like steps they need to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. All of these work. Audio conferencing. People still do audio conferencing a lot. What do you know about audio conferencing? Nodding your head, shaking your head does not work. No one can see you. No one can see you. All right? So you got to say yes or no. Please introduce yourself by name when you start off. Please introduce yourself by name when you start off. This is John. Now, for only 2-person conversation, that'd be silly, all right? But if we have 8 people in the conversation, I cannot figure out who's talking by their voice alone. So this is John, or this is Mary, or this is Michelle, this is Anita. It helps people know who's talking in that process. Another one, distribute everything you want people to review before the meeting. Don't distribute during the meeting. Give them a chance to read up before the meeting. Please remember, one of your best friends is mute. If you cannot say, if you're not going to say something, put the mute button on. Helps everyone talk. The mute gets annoying because you're static in the background. One thing, by the way, audio conferencing, if you get a hardline phone, it's better than a cell phone. If you can, use your phone in your home rather than use your phone when you're talking in a car. What we know is there's more static, disconnects happen more likely in those cases. So audio conferencing is still around and people are still using it. But all of us have moved a lot to video conferencing in the last couple of weeks. Zoom, WebEx, Teams, everyone's doing a lot of that nowadays. There's a lot of things we've learned already about how to do this more effectively. For example, it's going to be really hard to work with interruptions. Like audio conferencing, interruptions happen more frequently on Zoom meetings, where we use Zoom for all those video conferencing techniques. So you got to give people more pauses. Some video conferencing basically go to whoever's voice is loud. So please, again, remember to mute. Coughing gets the camera turned to you in some cases. Not a good thing to do. Forgiveness matters. We all make mistakes. We forget to mute ourselves. We forget to turn the audio on. We have weird backgrounds that people ought not to be seeing. We forget that the camera's on and go to the bathroom. Don't do that, please. Tell your spouse or partner if you're in a room when you're Zooming. You don't necessarily want the background. Indeed, manage the background so it's not too distracting to people. I have a huge bookcase behind me. I know it's kind of distracting. You're probably trying to figure out what books I'm reading. It's probably too small for you to actually read. But we find that in Zoom environments, a more relaxed environment generally works better. Good case in point, regardless of your politics, is when Obama endorsed Joe Biden. He didn't do it in a suit, standing up behind a podium. He sat on a couch, basically talking to people. Informality is more comfortable in Zoom kind of conversations than they are in one-on-one, in public conversations. Formality matters, though, in other ways, not dressing formality, but formality about starting on time, making sure the technology works. If you have a Zoom meeting scheduled for noon, make sure you get on at 11:45, 11:50 to make sure everything's working. Okay? Set a schedule, begin on time and end early. No one has yet ever complained the meeting went longer than the meeting went much longer than no one complains about that. They love meetings ending early. Privacy. Anything you say on a video conference is being recorded potentially by somebody. So be careful. You got to be careful of all new technology with privacy. But you've got to remember people may be seeing and hearing what you're saying. If your cat annoys you and climbs on top of you, don't pick up your cat and throw it away. Somebody's going to make a comment about that and you'll go viral on the web about these things. Now, there is an interesting phenomenon which we never knew about until basically a couple of weeks ago, and there's very little research on this yet. I can guarantee you some academic people are feverishly studying this right now. It's exhaustion from video conferencing. I expect you to do a lot of video conferencing. You are simply worn out and tired by halfway through the day. Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. Zoom exhaustion is a real thing. Why? We've tried to figure out a couple of things so far. One is you feel more self-conscious. You can't help but look at your face, for example, and see what you're looking like. Which side of your chin is showing, okay? Does your hair look good, okay? You talk looking at your face and not the camera, and you feel uncomfortable when you try to sneak a view. When you feel self-conscious, you get more anxious, generally speaking. You get shyer when you feel self-conscious, all right? That's one reason. Secondly, the odd delays. Somebody's voice just for a moment, all right? Or the words, I can't do this one, the words are behind the lips are moving separate from the voice, all right? You start talking and it seems like your voice isn't going, you're not seeing your lips move so far. There are natural delays in these technologies. Someday we'll have even better technologies, but that's gonna be what it looks like. Thirdly, getting feedback is a problem. When I'm talking to you face to face, you know what? I can see you nodding. I can see what you're looking at. I can see you looking over my shoulder. I can't see this on Zoom. I don't know what you're looking at. Now, I understand many people put their name up because they don't want to get their hair made up today, makeup today. I can perfectly understand that, all right? But when people can't see you, they're talking to names. They don't know who that is, okay? They don't know what the feedback is. But even when you have faces of people you're talking to, it's hard to detect the actual feedback. You can't sense that everything is okay as well. Famously, you cannot shake hands from a distance, where you can wink from physical technologies like this. But the truth is, it's still really hard to communicate those, what we call meta messages, message about messages. Please remember, you can never really be sarcastic on technology. Sarcasm gets misunderstood. You know how that's emails. You put a smiley face every time something sarcastic. Please also remember that all these technologies, people more like a roommate afterwards. Did I sound okay? I wonder what that word meant he used in this meeting. So you got to be more clear when you do this as well. We have about 4 minutes left. I want to see if there are any chat questions that came up, okay? I'm turning on my chat right now. Virginia, it doesn't look like chat is, anyone's chatting in. So let me finish with one other concept then if I can, in terms of Zooming people and so on that, all right? All right, let's see, I've lost my video. Here we go, back again. And make you see, you got to forgive people for this. If you can't see me, that's fine. Okay, I'll trust you anyway. All right. Final thing, I guess, is this. Enjoy it. As much as you can, enjoy it. We're part of a life-changing event. Treasure the moments that are great for you. And do me a favor, manage how you feel emotionally. Jamie Pennebaker, a psychologist at UT, a very famous psychologist, discovered something. Writing things down make you feel better. So create a diary if you're feeling a little bit depressed. Write down what's happening, not just about how your feelings, but what's happening in the world. I guarantee your great-grandchildren will treasure that diary. This is as important an experience as any experience you'll have in your entire life. So treat it as something you can learn from and take care of yourself in that process. Create new stories, create new family events if you have family members around you. Every couple of days, put something fun on. Make ice cream cones one night. Have a squirt gun battle one night. Get some weird food delivered that no one expects. Have a party celebrating something that you find on the web that no one even knows about. Pirates Day must be coming up at some point. One did come in from one person. I've been thinking about how to realign folks' organization strategies. Yes, how to realign people, make sure they know the strategy, number one. Make sure they understand why the strategy matters so much, number two. Give them something to do tied directly to the strategy so they can match it to what the strategy is. Explain what they do, why it matters to that strategy. Be careful though. Don't put other things in the strategy that are not obviously. If my strategy is to teach a good course, maybe I have to learn Zoom now. But 9 months ago, telling me to learn Zoom made no sense at all. Now you may have wanted me to learn Zoom, but don't tie the strategy of creating a great course. Now Zoom makes sense. So you should not ask for people to change things or do things that don't match that core strategy. Also, let people know what other people are doing at the same time. When they know what other people are doing tied to the strategy and how they fit in. One footnote though, really important. Try to create independent tasks. When your performance depends upon somebody else performing, it is more difficult to get your work done, especially at home. So you've got to create tasks where people can feel I'm making my contribution. I don't have to wait for this other person to finish. And somebody doesn't have to wait for me. So the more interdependent is good. I need to be done at 12, which is 1 minute, because I got to teach again at 12:30 on Zoom. I hope to see all of you. Please email me your other questions. My emails are in front of the slide deck. Virginia knows it also. Thanks for the compliments, Jen Sarver, my good friend. Sorry to name you, but I appreciate you deeply. All right. Have a good life. Please stay safe and healthy. Hug your family, hug yourself. Get good at this stuff. It's one future we're going to have. And please stay in touch with UT and with Moody. Bye now.